it's time again, me caving friends for some music and some fun. With Dangerous Dick and his crew handpicked duckbusters everyone. And we're here to sing till the rafters ring and our throats are feeling raw. Then we'll head back down to the underground, cause we're cavers to the core. Cavers to the core, boys, we're cavers to the core.
That was easy. Hi, I'm Julie McGilvray. I'm the acting deputy superintendent at Carlsbad Caverns, and I'm going to introduce you to a project and to Malcolm Williamson tonight. And first I'll talk a little bit about this project. So Malcolm and I have been working together since 2016, probably, on recording the cultural landscape of Carlsbad Caverns, so the underground landscape. This was a project that we did in partnership and in much discussion and planning with the School of Architecture at the University of Arkansas and the Center for Advanced Spatial Technologies. So we did 2 agreements with the university. Malcolm was our specialist, our geospatial specialist on the project. And what we wanted to do was get perfect, very accurate geospatial information on the development of the cave. So when we study a cultural landscape, we're studying the interaction of humans to their environment over time. So there's been a lot going on in that cave over the last 100 years, and we wanted to capture that as best we could. And we want to compare the current conditions to the past conditions and see how things have evolved. So ultimately, we're going to list this on the National Register of Historic Places. So not only do you have this amazing natural resource, but you also have a great cultural resource too. So knowing that contextual piece, it will help you understand a little bit about how the LIDAR was shot and what it looks like. The methodology that we really used was to focus on the built environment again, so we were only shooting LIDAR from the trail. And with that, we have a few spots where we don't have perfect LIDAR, but it's pretty good throughout because of the way the LIDAR equipment works, which Malcolm will explain. So anyway, with that, I'll hand it over, and you can tell us all about the technology.
We didn't like a little bit here. So I was thinking, kind of McDonald's, billions and billions served, something like that. So this is actually, as Julie said, this is a 3D documentation project for Carlsbad Caverns. I want to recognize my colleagues that also spent time here, Clayton Sexton and Vance Green, and Clayton was also the primary data processor, which really is the bigger chore in doing this kind of project, the part that you don't see, because it takes place in a little office. So first of all, I work at CAST, Center for Advanced Spatial Technologies, which is a research department at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas. One of the reasons that I had the opportunity to work with Julie is that we had previously done some work with a landscape architect that was involved with the project, and we had also done work in Arkansas at Blanchard Springs Caverns, which is a National Forest Service property. They're only kind of public cave, big show cave, also has elevators going down. We expand the elevator shaft at that facility. So we had some, we kind of knew a little bit about what we're doing, scanning a cave at this scale. Although I must tell a story. So the first time that we just kind of walked through to see exactly what we're going to scan, and Julie kept on going, so what do you think, Malcolm? What do you think? And I kept on going, it's really big. Because, yeah, it was a little overwhelming at first. But we figured that we would see what we could do. And by the way, so on our website, we have rotating images. I just happened to capture the one that showed the Carlsbad. So we, in CAST, we primarily work with local, state, federal governments, grants and contracts, helping them apply geospatial technologies to various projects. And we work a lot with other entities at the university, so we work with historians and anthropologists and biologists and civil engineers and pretty much anyone you can think of. Okay. So first, a few numbers about the project because they're pretty impressive in my book. 20 days in the cave itself. So we were going down each day about the time that the cave was closing to the public. We'd go down there and start getting set up, and then we'd stay down in the cave till 11:30 or so, and then come on back up. we took 1,030 separate scans throughout the cave. So that means we had to move the equipment another 25 yards or so down the cave and do another scan. That's the biggest project I've done. Biggest project by far that I've done.
And will you tell people where you've done projects?
Oh,
Yeah.
So I've got to work. I've been very fortunate in places I've gotten to work. So Machu Picchu in Peru, 4 of the pyramids in Egypt, Temple Mount in Jerusalem, Amarna in Egypt. What's that? Petra. Yes, Petra. How could I forget that?
St. Paul's Cathedral.
Yeah, I didn't work there.
Okay.
My colleagues did. Yeah. Ostia Antica in Rome, too, which was a long time ago. We've actually been involved with this technology for a very long time. We bought our first laser scanner, I think about 13 years ago, which was when it wasn't quite its infancy, but it was kind of just in its teen years, preteen maybe. So we actually collected in the cave 1.9 terabyte of data. That's a lot of data. In fact, we banged up against some file size issues and things like that. And every evening, well, not every night, early morning when we finished collecting data, we would go to our room and start downloading data off the computers, and just managing the data became a pretty big job, a pretty big part of our operation. When we're done, what we have here in this big box right here is about 3.37 terabytes of processed scanning data. That's a lot of data, which are comprised of 74 billion unique measurements. So each point is XYZ coordinates in space, and we've got 74 billions of those things, which you'll get to see. Finally, we were commuting back and forth between Fayetteville and Carlsbad, and a side trip to El Paso to pick up a tripod we needed. So about 4,000 miles driven. We also got caught when the government shut down, so we got to come down, spend the night, turn around, and go back. And which of course gives me lots of Enterprise Plus miles. So getting down to business, this is the main piece of gear that we're using down here. This is a Leica Scan Station P40. Leica Geosystems is a Swiss company, and they've been doing this kind of technology. They're actually a surveying company. It's not the same company that does the cameras. They kind of spun off some time back, and they're pretty much at the leading edge of this technology. This scanner here goes for about $123,000. It uses what they call it's a time of flight scanner. So what it's simply doing is sending out the laser beam. The laser beam strikes a surface and it's reflected back to the scanner, and simply measuring the time that it takes the light to travel there and back again, which is not very much time. Speed of light, right? 186,000 miles per second. They also are they actually do what they call waveform digitization, which means they're actually looking at the pulses of light coming back. So if it catches an edge of something, the beam has a finite size, maybe very small, but still it can actually skim something where part of the light gets reflected back, and then later on hits something else gets reflected back. And so they're able to kind of filter that a little bit. It's a near-infrared laser beam, which means you can't see it. It's invisible. And that's a good thing because that means it's eye safe as well. It turns out that near-infrared in this frequency will not pass through water. And so when it hits your eye, it's absorbed by the water in your eye before it does any damage to the retina on the back of your eye. So it's a safe instrument. It can scan as close as 0.4 meter and maximum distance of 270 meters, so roughly a football field. No, sorry, 3 football fields. Quite a long way. At a range of up to 120 meters, it can actually scan at almost 1 million points per second. That's measuring, which is mind-boggling. Our previous scanner did 50,000 points per second. Our first scanner did 2,500 points per second. So most of our scans were around 90 seconds on average. So you're looking at 90 million measurements in a minute and a half. And the accuracy on this is really pretty outstanding. At 50 meters away, we've got 3 millimeter accuracy. At 100 meters, football field, 6 millimeters, so that's what, roughly something like a quarter inch, something like that. And how accurate is it in measuring the distance? 0.5 millimeter. That's tiny. So this thing's really, really accurate. It's by far the best scanner I've worked with myself. And it has an option of taking color images. After it scans, the images can then be used to colorize the points that it's collecting. And so it takes a series of like 260 images, which are stitched together to form a 700 megapixel photo. Now, we weren't able to use this much of the cave because it's simply too dark. Even with the lights in the brighter parts of the cave, it would have taken about 5 times as long to collect the data if we'd been doing photography down there as well. And so, given that we spent 20 days, Julie says no. And lastly, the other key piece of the scanner, which I really appreciate, it has what's called a level compensator. That's the same thing that's in a high-end modern total station that surveyors use. So if it gets moved very slightly, it maintains, it knows that it's level. Really darn near perfectly level. And that's a big help when it comes to stitching data together. You really do. Well, you move the scanner around here so I can see what was blocked before, and you do this over and over again. In a cave, especially something like Carlsbad, where we've got lots of formations, there's no way that you're going to be able to get rid of all the shadows in there, especially when we're constrained to trail. So our task was really kind of optimizing where's the best place to put the scanner, given our time constraints and given the fact that we have to stay on that trail and go around the back sides of things. The scanner has a built-in computer, it's got a built-in hard drive on it, and so basically it's actually running some version of Windows, I think. Touch screen, and it's going in and setting the options in it. And then as soon as it's ready to go, it's going to rotate completely around. Well, actually, it's going to rotate 180 degrees around because the scanner is running around in this direction, and then the whole thing is rotating like this. And so it's actually scanning not just on this side, it's also scanning on this side and also above us. It can't go below because of the tripod in the way. And so 90 seconds is doing, so it's turning, it's turning halfway around in that 90 seconds. So what do? We don't have being scanned. We can either quickly go run behind, around the corner behind something, or we can do what we call the scanner dance. So we can stand on each side of the scanner and we go like this around. So we do a lot of funny things. That's why we do it when there's nobody in the public around, right? Actually, it was a nice luxury being able to work there without other people in the cave, because anytime you've got peoples or moving vehicles or things like that around, you spend an awful lot of time removing these things out of images, because unless the person is hold still, you actually end up having like slices of people as they're walking along. So it looks really bizarre. And I've got some of my favorite pictures here. So Vance, the guy in the previous picture, he's also a professional photographer, and he's got an expensive camera that actually took rather nice pictures in very low light from the cave here. This is just with the regular illumination of the cave. And here, I'm actually involved with the other tasks besides setting up the scanner. We had to document each scan, record, where we were, what settings we're using on the scanner. We take a picture of each location so we can back up and see where they were. Why? Because when we're stitching stuff together, sometimes we get mixed up and forget where these things are. It's like, where the heck is this? Why is this not lining up? Oh, we weren't where we thought. And so I'm using a tablet there, and we've got basically building a table of all this information as we go. And actually, that could be. So what this apparently is there is writing on the sign, so it's painted over, and the frequency of the infrared light is apparently picking up a little bit of bleed through of the pigment, and so suddenly we know what these say. So we got Carlsbad, what is that?
Caverns video, VHS and beta.
VHS beta. Oh yeah, that's what that was. And this one is Viewmaster reels and 35 millimeter slides. So that's pretty cool. Nobody, at least no one around today has ever seen that text before. We did this before. I don't know.
Venus?
Venus.
Who? I'm Venus sitting over here.
Yeah.
I was working here then.
Ah, okay. Okay, so from this point, I want to move on and actually show you kind of the results of all of this. And so living dangerously, remember, all software works best with PowerPoint. So first of all, I'm going to show you the easy stuff. So this data set is actually 74 billion points. It's no exaggeration. That's actually a little more than that. That's the count. And you'd never think it, but computers don't really like displaying that in real time. And so fairly recently, Leica Geosystems came out with a different software product that takes these points and turns them into what are called voxels, which are really cubes. And these are easier for video cards to deal with and display. And they actually, these cubes, you may see, they actually have different sizes of ones that load depending upon where you are looking at it. Each one of those yellow triangles represents the locations of a scan. And so I'm going to turn those off. Just wanted to give you a sense of that. And so this is the total data set. Why is that on there? There we go. This is the total data set. Up here is the natural entrance. Down here is the big room. And this is the left-hand tunnel, which was the very last thing that we scanned, so we didn't quite get to the end of it. It was kind of like, if you have time, scan the left-hand tunnel. So we really wanted to see if we could hit the whole thing, but we ran out of time. So let's go to the top here. Here is the amphitheater. And one of the really neat things about this data set that we're kind of proud about is we have...
Does it look like you could go through upside down?
So you can see here, we didn't scan from out there, so you see all the blue drop out in the wall there. So I'll stay over. Julius has proven that it stayed on the trail. Okay, so this leads down to the start of this. Go higher. Fly. Okay, so you start seeing some dark spots on the walkway here, and also over to the right there. So that's dampness. That's wet spots. And again, when you see the blue, this is where there are shadows, so it's no data recorded. And if I'm curious, if I go here and say, I wonder how high the top of the cave is here from down here. I don't have to be particularly picky about where I measure from. I can say, let's just a little kind of like that. So I can measure from down here to somewhere where I can see up kind of by the top here, right there. Obviously, I'm not directly above myself, but I can see, I can't see it there. That's a pain. How do I see that? There we go. Oh, DD. Yeah, so I've got a vertical distance here showing me that I'm 14 meters vertical between this point, no matter what the offset is sideways. So that's really handy. And in the gray box there, these coordinates, these are actually, again, these are the mapping coordinates right there. These are what's called UTM. And, oops, that. So let me get rid of that. And go back to my flight. A little further. Oh, there's something in the air right there. So I'm not sure if that's a piece of a person or what. Let's see, that's something floating. So something got caught in the air. So one of the interesting things about this technology is it will not put a point where there's nothing. So Some other technologies, if some of you have heard about photogrammetry, it's possible to get a false point where something is being placed where it isn't. This technology may not see something, may miss it, but it's not going to give you a false, non-existent measurement. So if we see something in the air, that means something was there. It may have been one of us passing through the scan. We've seen some stray points floating around in the air through here, which were bats in flight. So there weren't a lot of bats, but we found back by the entrance here, there were a few still hanging around, which kind of surprised us. So, and again, I think my colleague finally got this cleaned out, but for a long time, right about here, there was a little something floating in the air above the trail, and that was my arm, which I didn't get moved quite quick enough. So anyway, so this is a great data set here. I was telling Julie and the other folks earlier today that the first day that my colleague Vance came out, we were scanning a survey marker that was on this rock right over here. And his first day on the job, so I was doing the scanner and he was using the notepad, the tablet to take notes. And I mean, we hadn't been working, you know, this is the first scan of the night, first time for that whole trip. And he goes, well, and drops the thing, and it bounces. He goes, bounce, 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 bounce. If it had gone that way, it would have been bye-bye tablet. And he said, so you probably don't want me carrying the scanner, do you? I said, maybe not right now. And so we were getting over here to the area where historic trails are. I don't know if we can see it very well from here. Oops. Let's see. Where you see historic trails. Yeah, you can kind of see this right here, or the old trail right up here. It doesn't show it quite as well as this on this as it does in the other data set. And this was probably the most treacherous place we scanned, but there's some slippery clay up here, and I'll tell you what, I slid once or twice up there, and it scared me. I was glad to be finished with that part. Okay, let me back out of this a second. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what's supposed to be kind of cool to look at on this data set. So let's go down the lunchroom. So see a little more culture down here. So because of the purpose of this data set, we spent a lot of time getting not just the outside of these booths here, but we went back through. Actually, I kind of like you can actually see the posters on the side here. I thought that was really neat. And so we disobeyed the keep out times and walked through here. And some interesting stuff that most people probably don't get to look at back here. Like this is actually, what we see here is comprised of points, not cubes. And I can adjust the point size because I turn it down. And I zoom in, you'll actually start to see, the individual points there. So that's the kind of density we're talking about here. And just for grins, let me pick a couple of these points that are close together here. Oh, now it's loaded. Hold on, we're still loading data, so that's why we don't like working in this software in real time. I lost my point. So sorry. I'm trying to zoom in. Okay, so there is some points really close together, not use that so whenever you pick them. So point, how far apart are they? Measure. This is not user-friendly software. Those are 1 millimeter apart. So 25.4 millimeters to an inch. So that's what you call a dense point. We call these point clouds, by the way. This is a dense point cloud. Probably the most data I've seen together.
Yeah, maybe you say you thought this was the biggest point cloud to make this
But not the biggest point cloud, the biggest continuous set of data that we want to view together at one time. So I think lots of other engineering companies use this when they're doing buildings, they'll scan buildings as they're building it to make sure they match up with blueprints and things like that. And so there are some big data sets out there, but they don't care about looking at the 7th floor and the 1st floor together. It doesn't matter. They're interested in looking at just the details on one floor, and so they have them all in separate files. No big deal. This whole cave is one data set. We actually bumped in, so what they call their database is actually a single file. And so as we were collecting data, I think on the 3rd trip we were collecting data and adding it to the database, and all of a sudden it began slower and slower, and all of a sudden it failed. And I tried about 3 times, I kept on getting a failure to add my data. It's like, oh no, what's wrong? So then I looked at the file size, and it was over 1,000 gigabytes, which is known as a terabyte. And now, if you know anything about computers, so they don't actually deal in thousands and millions and billions. They're actually interested in 1,024 times 1,024 times 1,024 times 1,000. So you get some weird numbers, a little bigger than a billion, a little bigger than a trillion. So I did the math. I said, how big is a terabyte really? And I found out what the number was. And I looked at the number that we had of actual bytes, and we were like 10,000 bytes under 1 terabyte. And so we were trying to basically go over 1 true terabyte, and it wouldn't do it. And so we started doing a little bit of research and said the maximum size for this type of file was 1 terabyte. We had slammed to the end of it. So they were like, what do we do? And so we talked to the vendor, and he said, oh, you're not supposed to do that. And they said, there's actually ways you can make it even bigger, but that you shouldn't do that. You want to, for performance, you want to keep it 200 to 300 gigabytes. And we said, that's not going to work. They said, no. You make a bunch of these smaller databases, and then you make a master database where you virtually do a reference to the data in these other ones, and then you tie them together in this master one, and everything stays under reasonable sizes. And so that's what we had to do, and that's how we got to a final size of about 1.9 terabytes. So it's in 15 databases. And what we're looking at here is actually some exported data in some smaller sets that are a little easier to work with. Now, just like in the other jet stream data that we were looking at, there's no color on this, but today when we were playing around with the data, we were actually artificially coloring some of the data, so we actually kind of added some tan to make this look a little more like the real the cave itself. So the color is not real, it's fake, but we think it looks kind of nice. And so this is how we get some of those really nice images that we were looking at before in those pictures I had, the screenshots. And again, the reason that these railings are black down here is because they are very reflective, and so the data, and most of the data is simply reflected off in the places, so very little of it gets back to the scanner. So that's why they're black, which means low intensity and weak return. As you know, the walkway is kind of is a black with epoxy on chips, is that what it is, something like that, and it's very dark and low reflectance. So this is the main core of data set. If I zoom way out, so one of the nice things here is we actually we removed the roof for doing some of the other work in this cultural landscape inventory. So it's actually kind of difficult when you're trying to make maps when you've got data that goes over the top of it, right? And so we went in and moved the data that made up the top side of the cave. So we moved, I want to say this summer, so time goes quick, I guess. Late summer, we finally finished up those fair processing, so we were actually delivering the final, this drive right here. This is 12 terabytes. This is the final delivery of data to the park. And
You said you could get UTM coordinates at any point on the skin that.
Yep. Yep.
So what were you doing, I guess that's indexed on the surface, like GPS or something? What are you doing with the survey points?
Well, it's all tied, so here, I should pick point here, so here's the coordinates, it's 552270 by 35595 and elevation of 1,117 meters above sea level. What we did is we worked from the natural entrance down. And so we set up the survey grade GPS up at the around the amphitheater there, and we actually shot in, we measured 4 points up there, I believe, and so we tied that to the data up there, and then we tied everything else together going down.
And what was it you were doing at these different survey points in the cave? You were talking
Oh,
about-
so those were from much older data. I have no idea how accurate those measurements are. They were back from the 30s or something, or
They're USGS.
You were just documenting,
oh, there was National Geographic. What was that?
you were just documenting the location, right?
Right, exactly. And it gives the ability to actually, check the two surveys against each other and see what looks better. There is always going to be, when you're doing what we're doing here in terms of, adding a scan, 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 you do get some cumulative error. But we're doing so many scans that we're getting a lot of that corrected out. So because we're from any one scan, we can probably see, half a dozen in both directions for most locations, unless you're running through a really narrow tunnel. But a lot of those, we can actually see, at other locations, we can actually see somewhere higher around some of those locations, so we're tying up there as well.
So for where you can do this, does it obsolete traditional cave methods?
Well, I think that's a good question. I would say in terms of accuracy, yeah, this is going to be hands down. If you're talking about, caves where you got to wade through water that's up to your chest.
That's why I said where you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We had a grad student who was a pretty avid caver that took me into a small cave in northwest Arkansas one time, and it was, a spring flowing through it, and it was a 95-degree day outside, and you really wanted a wetsuit inside there. And I thought, yeah, it was really neat little cave, but I would never take a $123,000 scanner in there. But the LIDAR.
Cavers to the core, me boys, we're cavers to the core. As you play and sing, don't forget one thing, we're cavers to the core.
High definition surveying, which is really kind of trade there. And there are variations. Like I said, this instrument uses it's measuring the actual time of flight of the light beam. There are other systems that are encoding a waveform in the light and measuring the phase shift in the wave as it gets returned. That system can be really fast, but it's limited by the absolute distance, because once you exceed one full waveform, you don't know whether you're one wavelength or two wavelengths away. So those tend to be less than 100 meter maximum distance, and they're better suited for indoors rather than outdoors. There are other instruments that are made for measuring very small things using very similar technologies. You have a question? That's you, Amanda? Sorry. Anyone else? Would you like to add, Julie?
Well, I think what we would like to do for about 10 minutes or so, and Aaron can facilitate this. Yeah, so we're gonna.
So what we've got you here, we think this is amazing data set. We've spent a lot of money and time and effort collecting it, and we want to ask you what you think we should be doing with it. If you can make any cool research projects, or great ways to use this data. It's there. Talking to somebody today, and they want to know if we're going to use it to calculate the volume of some of our bigger studio tests. You can use it to measure lots of different things in the cave. Potentially we could use it to make a video game.
you know, our visitors to experience.
That kind of looked like a video game.
Yeah, yeah. We've got lots of parts of the cavern that are not accessible, you know, to people with mobility issues and whatnot. What do you think? Any idea? Suggestions?
First of all, will it be publicly available in some form, at least for limited use for researchers, if not just publicly? And I know there's the
I can
software.
answer that question. Yeah. So we're working with the solicitors right now to figure out how to share this kind of data. I think that we're still trying to figure out exactly how to do it, but I think for research purposes, we would be able to share part of the point cloud. The problem will be with your equipment. The point cloud is massive. You have to have a lot of RAM. So if you can come prepared, we might be able to share parts of it for research purposes. So it would be under a research permit with the Park Service, and there would be a set way to do that, and we have to build out what that would look like.
So the NPS owns the channel.
That's correct.
How possibly difficult would it be to make a 3D print of that data?
I can answer that. Can't do it. You've got to mesh it. Okay, points, so it's got to be turned into a mesh. And that can be done, but in an environment like the cave, there's so many, you know, formations so close together, it can be really difficult to accurately mesh it. So it depends on how detailed you want to be. You want something that just kind of looks like it, that's not so hard. You want to really show great detail, that's considerably harder.
That said, this is not the first time the cavern has been scanned. Andy Evis and Rue Walters and a number of other British cavers had a project to scan all of the big underground rooms in the world, and they actually scanned at much lower resolution, and they did create a mesh so they could calculate volumes, and Andy 3D printed all of them, each about this big. It was pretty cool, but yeah.
And we recently had a request from a production company in California to scan a couple of features in the cave to make art installations out of them. And they have not been allowed to do that yet.
Probably wouldn't be too hard to mesh and 3D print one of the smaller features, like Celia Fan or from King's Palace. Big rooms take a lot of time.
Actually, King's Palace would be the worst because of all the formations.
It'd be pretty cool if they set up like an extra room in the visitor center, so like handicapped people or people who are just claustrophobic, they just like, you know, play with it and go where they want, and see what there is without having to go down. So their family go down the next day up there, just their flight and take.
So when I pitched this idea to Doug Neighbor in 2016, do this project, that was, you know, what are the next steps with this? So this is for a specific project, but it can be used for scientific research, it can be used for interpretation. There's lots of applications. I mean, which is what we want to talk, you know, whatever y'all think like that. And I think there are many, many, many things you can do with it imperfectly. You can have it online, and we looked at a web-based setup today where we could possibly upload things and just get in there and go around. So there's lots of options.
Jacob has something like that?
I'm going to say right off the bat, just coming to this meeting, I'd say your best bet is just put out a video immediately of that type of stuff, just in the theater, because that really is incredible. And I think going to what Dwayne said, the more handicapped and disabled people, but just right off the bat, just showing people the fact that you can do that is really mind-boggling.
Cool.
You know, I was going to say, one of the things I find really interesting about this type of data is the fact that you can look at things from perspectives that you simply can't do in person. You know, unless you're going to fly a drone to the cave, which we're not going to do. How else are you going to see, you know, from above the top of the cave with the roof cut off to see, you know, to see, you know, a bigger view of some of these things. So, yeah, the different perspectives that you can generate are valuable.
Even postcards are faithfully just like I took that picture. You just print it. People would buy it because they'd be like, cool.
From the management side of things, you can go in, like you expect with a shorter range scanner. That would be easier, cheaper to take along the trails and get just the immediate area, and then compare them year to year or every 5 years and see, what damage is occurring. I mean, the impact mapping that we were talking about just a little bit ago, and get a much better resolution. I mean, there's been traditional, photo stations and all that, but that's obviously the rest of this stuff. So that's one thing. Because you can map moisture, and you can think about that in terms of potential algae growth, where the moisture will be greater, and you think about that in terms of lighting. As the lighting is going to evolve and you do maintenance, you've got the ability now to, in more detail, think about where you may want to change and put lights and change and put power cables and other infrastructure. And I mean, the light system just been redone, so I'm not talking about doing that next week. But whether that happens in 10 or 20 years, you can be a lot more precise about it. On the research end, I mean, boy, so much.
You can add lighting to this. We were playing with it today.
Yeah.
I think we were kind of clumsy with it and just messing around, but you can see what the lighting will do in certain areas. So there's great potential with that.
If the light bounce off of, so the light bounces off the rock, but it also bounces off the moisture points, so it bounce off like a big area of lint, where you could really tell where the lint is an issue that we can't see.
We will be advertising 2 jobs here, office manager position and an administrative assistant. And so we'll go over the Southwest region list to many people that have emails for, locally, regionally. So if you're not interested, someone who might be, please share the information. I hope they have people hired by January, February, for the year.
Thank you, George. Orientation Cave Rescue, NCRC came to the park and did a 2-day training. Speaking of NCRC, if you want to do level 1 or level 2, they'll be doing it in Texas in February, the beginning of February. However, it just flew today, and I think it's already full. But there is a waiting list that you can sign up for. But also at the same time is the SPAR, Small Party Sister Rescue. And that hasn't opened up yet, registration, so that's December 5th. And a lot of cavers find SPAR to be very, very beneficial. But of course, Andy Armstrong came down for OCR, and while he was here, he joined several other cavers, including Dr. Hazel Martin, who was our last speaker, in the Lechugia Cave, and everyone else that you see there and have the names listed. And that trip officially put Lechugia Cave over 150 miles. There will be a celebration for it. The same dates as Chris and Laurel's wedding at Mammoth Cave.
People have been asking if this is a public event.
Aaron, do you want to comment?
Yes, it will be public. We are a little bit concerned that we might run out of space. So there might be early registration of some sort for people who have been involved in the exploration. But yeah, it's not invitational. It's open to the public. And we're still working on getting prices and whatnot for watching the ranch, which is why registration is not open yet.
So is this basically going to be dinner?
Well, again, it's still under development, but it's going to be 3 days, and there will be talks. Ron Curbo has agreed to be a keynote speaker. I think there are at least 10 other people who are going to talk throughout the day. On Saturday, a dinner. We're going to print out there's gonna be some sort of photography display of some sort. Yeah, there's been lots of email on one who has never been to convention but wants to go.
I thought he was thinking more in terms of a California one,
Oh, maybe he was, I don't remember.
to give you like a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half to plan, that might make more sense, since it is a lot of vacation time for someone.
Wasn't a suggestion that they like apply and maybe even
Sort of
send a
apply,
letter?
Yeah, like basically, put in 5 minutes of effort, like writing a paragraph of why they want to go and whatnot. But probably the most fair thing to do to decide would be to just then draw. But yeah, like put in a tiny bit of effort of like writing something so that, you sort of earned the free ride.
Do we want to table that one till next meeting?
I think we need a lot more discussion. I mean, you're going to think I'm against everything I plan. It seems to me if it costs, $300 to go to convention just for the registration, maybe it's not quite that much, $250? Can't remember what Elkins was, but let's say $250. You could pay 3 people's membership for these new people, and then we have more NSS members. I don't know. That's just my thought. I would rather, if we said spend that much money, I'd rather spread it further and make it something more reasonable than now I've got to travel to California or Custer or somewhere, plus time off.
Along those lines, we go to anybody that's not an NSS member, the Grotto could subsidize the membership, but they would pay part of it, the Grotto would pay part of it the first year to encourage them to join. Get them to put into it so they
To
have
put
stake in
something
it.
into it.
But then the Grotto,
But I think Dan really appreciated that membership that he won.
Was that?
Yes?
Great.
Yeah. Did you renew it?
No, it's not.
See?
I'm sure you will, though.
Yes, no, I just wanted to do it this month for myself. Right now.
But anyway, it's just a different idea.
You have all those ideas, Angelina? You have all those ideas? Okay. Any other old business to address? Any new business? We sort of transitioned into new business, so.
I know Philip talked about at the very beginning of this year that our election cycle didn't line up with, I believe, the NSS cycle or something. I think we're a month behind, and so we had talked last January or February about moving our election cycle up a month.
But to do that, you have to change the bylaws